Hey, friends, welcome back to the Cheese Boy channel. We are talking today about the greatest Marvel comic stories ever told. Some must-read collections for everybody who hasn't read them or is looking for something old to pick up. It's kind of funny. I was like, because we just did DC, and the stories on DC were easier to remember the individual stories, where Marvel kind of has like one big story a year. And even though I read a whole lot more Marvel comics, I feel like I like these Marvel comic series, but when it actually came to like storylines that collected into trades, there was a couple, of course, that really stood out. But it was harder to think of like a top 10 list than it was on DC. But here we go. So as we start the countdown, Avengers Disassembled, I thought was a great storyline. It was kind of right after they started like the Ultimate Avengers and the Ultimate storyline, that kind of stuff. They did a Avengers Disassembled, and it was kind of like a lead into all of like a big storylines, but there was some great fights and some really cool reads for Avengers fans. I think that was definitely a pickup. As I think back, Spider-Man, obviously one of the biggest characters for Marvel, but one of the storylines on that always stuck in my head was Kraven's Last Hunt. I thought Kraven was a really cool Spider-Man villain because he was like a hunter. He was like a big African safari, like big game hunter, and Spider-Man was just like the next big target for him. But it was really cool because he didn't really have like super special powers or anything like that. He was just like the ultimate hunter. And it was a great storyline with a cool twist ending. I don't want to spoil anything, so definitely give that one a pick. Now my next two, they kind of go hand in hand. I think you probably have to read. You'll probably want to read them both in order. I don't think you need to, but it'll be better, even better if you do. Is Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. This one is like they basically just decide that Hulk is too much of a risk to have on Earth, so they ship him into space and he gets sucked into another planet. They do a little snippet of it in one of the Thor movies where they've got Thor versus Hulk on another planet. That is nothing compared to the comic. And they have also done an animated mini movie off of it. That is also nothing compared to the book. This book is fantastic. And then he gets back home, and he's just like, I am going to exact my revenge on all of you who threw me off my planet. And so that is the World versus Hulk, and it shows how incredibly powerful the Hulk can be. And he's always been my favorite. So these two storylines back to back they just blew me away. So incredibly good. I can't recommend these enough. And of course, X-Men's got a bunch of storylines, like Dark Phoenix and like just everything, the apocalypse, all that kind of stuff. But Days of Future Past, I think, was one of the best written stories. And they kind of did a movie off of this also. But again, this is, it's like you always you read the book and then you see the movie and you're like, oh wow, the book was so much better than the movie. This is another one of those ones. And I think it's just kind of, they can expand so much more in a comic than they can in a movie. They're so limited on what they can do with a movie. But yeah, Days of Future Past, that's definitely one of my favorite X-Men reads. The 2000s was the era of Brian Michael Bendis. He released the Ultimate lines, Ultimate Spider-Man. He just a absolutely fantastic writer. It's hard to find good stories through that era, through that early 2000s that didn't have his name attached. He was like Marvel's number one go-to story guy. He was probably at the height of his career. He was probably writing 4 or 5 different titles all at once. He did later go on and move on to DC, and he did an amazing Superman storyline. But he did a storyline called Secret Invasion. This was kind of the beginning of Marvel's picking up a annual, like a summer blockbuster big crossover event, and it's kind of ever since then it was like every summer there's like been this like a big huge crossover event. But this was kind of more at the beginning of that. But this one's super cool. It's I believe this involves the death of Captain America, and it's got all this tricks on like who is who, and the Skrulls coming in and taking over and being other people, and you not knowing how long some of these other people have been not who they say they are. Could it be for years and years? But really, really well done. Just very just intriguing. More than just superhero stuff. I'm like, it really draws you in with the storyline. But Secret Invasion, definitely a must read. Another really, really cool storyline, also by Bendis, is House of M. I think that I have not seen any of the WandaVision TV show, but it revolves around Scarlet Witch just altering reality. House of M does, and I believe that that's kind of what the TV show is doing in a much more fun way. But this is just a super cool. I've recommended this to a ton of people, and almost everybody's really, really liked it. There's been a few people who were not familiar enough with X-Men. If you are not at all familiar with X-Men and any of the X-Men storylines, probably a few things before this that you should pick up and read, but to really get on page. But if you've been reading X-Men, if you're familiar with them, probably even if you've seen all the movies, that's enough to really understand what's going on here. And this is just like lots of twists and turns. Very, very cool storyline. And then we get to at the kind of like the run of Michael Bendis kind of ends. He's still doing stuff, but Mark Millar, I know I've mentioned him on a couple of the DC storylines that we did when we did the little DC thing here. But he picks up and he does my very top 2 favorite Marvel storylines ever, and both of these made into movies. Both of them, you have to read the comic. If you liked the movies, the comic is just infinitely better. Civil War. Civil War is such an intricate story where in the movie they have to narrow it down to 2 hours. I mean, if they did the whole storyline, this would have been like a trilogy, and it could have been a fantastic trilogy, because it involves all the major Marvel characters, and it's really like this battle of like, do we keep our secret identities, or do we allow the government to control us, kind of thing. Really, really well written. And then my very favorite storyline from Marvel of all time, Old Man Logan. This is another one. I thought they did a fantastic job with the movie, but it is not. It is not the comic book. It starts off similar, where Logan is old, and it is. But that's kind of the similarity. I mean, the comic book is Logan is old. He is not healing very well. And he goes on a cross country trip with Hawkeye, who is now blind. So he's going to be the chauffeur of Hawkeye to across the country. The country now is split up into, the U.S. is now split up into like 4 major or minor countries that are all controlled by different factions. Where Logan lives now is controlled by the Hulk family. It is just a tribe of super redneck Hulks that are Hulk is like unbeatable, as he is, and then you get a whole family of redneck version Hulks. It is it is absolutely amazing. I think I like it because Hulk's in it. I mean, like, that is definitely a plus. Like I said earlier, love the Hulk. But yeah, this is. I didn't read this when the comic first came out because I was like, who wants to read Wolverine when he's old? This is gonna be. And then it was like years later, somebody was like, you have to read here's the collection, the trade, you have to read it. And I was like, okay, and I got it, and it like sat on my shelf for another 6 months before I read it. And then I was just so angry at myself for not like reading this just off the shelf when the comic was coming out. It just blew me away how incredible this story was. This is really, anybody who is in any way a Wolverine fan, love him or hate him, this is the story that's just it's a big crossover. A lot of other characters in it as well, but man, the imagination that goes into this storyline just is a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And that's really 9 stories. And then I don't know where this goes in here, but like for my 10th, I really enjoyed Deadpool. But I didn't know what story. He's got so many, and he had a whole bunch of like little mini series. All of them are great. I didn't love Deadpool. I didn't love Deadpool way back early on. It wasn't till newer, not after the movie. I definitely liked him before the movie, but it wasn't until newer they kind of really sillied him up, and it made him just fantastic. He wasn't like just a crazy person, but he was a really fun person to read. So there's like Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and Night of the Living Deadpool, and Deadpool Art of War, Deadpool Kills Deadpool, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe again. Just a whole bunch of fun little short stories. They're all like 3 or 4 issues. They're all collected into trades. If you've seen any of the Deadpool movies, that's enough you need to know. Pick up any of them. Doesn't matter what order you pick them up. Certainly, if you're going to pick up like the series, you're going to want to pick them up like 1 through 10, like in order. But like these little mini series, these little short series, just pick up any of them, and I guarantee you will enjoy them. Like I said, they're not my number ones, but they definitely all. But I could make a top 10 list where like 6 of the things were Deadpool stories. They're all great, and they're silly and fun and easy to read, and just yeah, read some Deadpool. You'll enjoy it. Thank you guys very much for sitting through our Marvel best stories. Please let me know what you like, what you didn't like. Put in the comments what I missed, and why what you think should be on the top 10 is on there, or should be on there, or isn't on there. Make a discussion out of it. I love hearing from you guys. Like the video, subscribe, because we'll have more stuff coming. I'm trying to do a comic thing every week, a game thing every week. If you're into watching me dip things in cheese, I'm trying to do a video on that every week. You can also follow me on TikTok, cheeseboy702. I dip things in cheese every day. Thank you guys very much for watching, and you have a good day.